Origin gents, welcome to UX, and this is second prototype of China's tri-engine stealth fighter emerges. This was a few weeks ago. How the fuck did I miss this one? I've been busy, but still, this is my channel SANDBOXX. As you can see, the tri-engine thing from China that emerged, I guess, some time ago. This is a second plane, I guess, or is it like? How do you know it's a second plane if it's not the same? Second plane, I guess it emerged. So three engine, people assume it's three engine because like they're probably trying to like increase the thrust by adding the third engine. Why would they not just make a powerful engine and add two of them? Like a rumor goes around that they don't have powerful engines, so they just add three of it. I don't think that's the case. I don't know. I feel like there is purpose to this, adding the third engine. I don't know, it could be like supersonic or like like super cruising, alternating between that type of feature. Because if you add an engine for super cruise, can you like turn that into like powerful afterburner? Like, I don't know much about this rocket science, but I feel like there must be a purpose to three engines. It's gonna be interesting. Let's wait one.
First emerged last December, and people on this and similar platforms tried to convince you that it wasn't a prototype and was actually a much more mature design, maybe even one approaching operational status, all because it had the number 11 painted in the serial number on the side of the fuselage. Well, now I'm here to say I told you so, because now a second J-36 prototype has broken cover to begin flight testing, and it comes with some pretty significant changes.
Yeah, it's a pretty big plane, right? I think this, obviously, in the modern world, it's been said that like there is no dogfighting. If you see a plane, it's already too late type of way. So China is basically working towards that, like having big ass plane to do a lot of job, not having any compromises that you would with a smaller plane, because you're probably not going to be engaging someone, right? Like at a visual range. So why not have a big ass plane? I guess they're going with that one.
From the original design, almost as though they're still working out the kinks in this tri-engine tailless fighter concept using, what are they called? Prototypes. Now, this new iteration of the J-36 obviously shares the same core design as the original, but big changes can be seen in the designs of its lower air intakes, engine nozzles, and landing gear.
Ooh, I see it. Yeah.
Here in particular. Now, there is a very reasonable argument to be made that air intakes are the most difficult and maybe even the most important aspect of designing a new
aerodynamic is probably the most important, yeah.
Stealth fighter, and that difficulty is largely born out of how three competing design priorities all overlap in your engine inlets: engine performance, aerodynamics, and stealth, or signature reduction.
That's what I mean by three engine. Like, you can't have everything. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I guess you must have two cake. Have one cake and not eat it, and another one if you eat. I don't know. That's why three engines, I guess. So one has a stealth super cruise ability, while other has like a range and afterburner capabilities. I don't know.
Now, in a non-stealth fighter, you can design your intakes to maximize aerodynamics and engine performance, maybe prioritizing one a bit more than the other, depending on the jet's intended role. But the design elements that tend to benefit stealth, in particular, often run completely counter to the things that improve engine or aerodynamic performance. Now, the original J-36 prototype we saw flying was unusual in a number of ways, maybe most of all because it carried three engines instead of the normal one or two. But what was even stranger was how the top dorsal-mounted engine used a diverterless supersonic intake, or DSI design, similar to the F-35, while its two lower intakes used a completely different trapezoidal carrot design more akin to the F-22. Now, both of these intake designs can be plenty stealthy, but generally speaking, a diverterless supersonic intake is lighter, easier to maintain, and often produces better signature reduction, or it tends to be a bit stealthier. But not everything about using DSIs is arguably better, depending on how you want your fighter to operate. Carried intakes are indeed more complex, often requiring internal S-ducting to prevent the engine's face from reflecting radar waves, but they also tend to perform better at speed.
Yeah, the air intake capabilities of that, right? Like how much compressed the air will be. It's just better. So you have just great analogy, right? Like between F-35 and F-22. F-22 is proper performance plane. They're not going to compromise insane performance because of stealth. They're going to work around it because American technology, they can do that. But yeah, it's twin engine powerhouse, right? Well, F-35 is like, yeah, it's multi-purpose. So they're basically making J-36 best of all world. Problem with best of all world is it could go either way. It could be best of all world or worst of all world, and usually things revolve around being worst of all worlds. So how is J-36 going to be a success if they're trying to do all of that, is what I'm thinking. I'm guessing here, obviously, we don't know much about it.
Speeds above Mach 2, at least generally speaking. So China's new J-36 has gotten rid of those more complex, higher speed-oriented carried intakes in favor of DSIs all around. And that might suggest an aircraft that is aiming for supersonic performance below Mach 2. Now, on the other end of those engines, the original aircraft's trough-style nozzles were probably meant to blend cool air into the exhaust to reduce the jet's infrared signature, but they have since been replaced with what sure looks to be 2D thrust vectoring nozzles similar to those found on the F-22 Raptor. Now, this change may have been made to benefit aircraft control, but probably does come at the expense of some degree of stealth, and that trade-off may have just been deemed worth it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a trade-off. You can fucking see it. This is gonna cost stealth, obviously. They're gonna go. They were going to Northrop Grumman style engineering, but I guess they found like, okay, we're trying to make a plane, fighter plane, not a bomber here, and with the size, it doesn't work. So they basically went with the performance like that. So it's gonna have like a problem with stealth. I think they're trying to do two things at once, which obviously trial and error. Maybe they'll achieve it. Who knows?
And finally, the last major change that I can spot in these pictures is in the landing gear. The rear sets of gear used to be arranged in tandem or one in front of the other, but are now parallel or side by side. And Rin Sakuri, for the aviationist, posits that this change may have been made to allow for more room inside the aircraft's internal weapons bays, and that makes pretty good sense to me. Now, we still don't actually know much about this aircraft. Official information, especially, is very sparse. So anyone who tells you that they know things for sure about this aircraft is probably lying to you. But one thing that I can say with a great deal of confidence is that China is definitely still working on this design, and at least in my estimation, it appears to be improving.
It's surprising to me that you can see details about it because China is very restrictive. If China doesn't want, like, what was that, like Hassan, Hassan Piker went to China recently, like, was trying to take photo, and like police just grabbed them, like, what photo are you taking? China is very restrictive because it's a communist country, right? You're not going to have complete freedom. So I'm surprised people can actually leak these photos. Which makes me think, does Chinese government want people to know, like, yeah, we're doing this? It's like a flex type of way, like, yeah, we're working on this. Look at that. Look at China, how fast we're going. Because it could be one of those elements. It could be political at a certain level. I don't know. But yeah, they're working on that. Like, it's literally trial and error right now. There'll be a time where we'll hear about J-36 or whatever it's going to be named, right? A 3-engine. Because it's going to be something unique. If they succeed, or even if they don't succeed, like, it's going to be something unique. So it's like, like, if you like planes or anything fighter plane related, regardless of what, you're probably going to be excited about it because nobody has attempted this and China is doing it. 3-engine, like, how's that going to work? All right, well, if you like my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.